And right when I hit go live, I have this high-pitched tone attacking my left ear. Hello everybody, it is May 23rd, 2024. How y'all doing? I hope we're going to see Kim Blanchard in the chat at some point. I hope she's okay. She was in an area with tornado watches last night. There are a lot of tornado watches right now. Every day now. Too bad people aren't questioning what the hell is going on. Love to see that, wouldn't you? I would love to see that. Hello, Wonder Why, Analog Synth Player, and Alicia DeMoss and Sandra. Hello. Bill Nye and Andrew Cruz and Blues du Jour and Jane Northrup and Donna Davidson. Hey. And Anthony Van Zant. Bill Nye, I said hello. Okay. Taylor Noose, hello. CR61, Dude, D. Moore, Tony Punch, Justin Wynn. Hi. Well, a lot of weather, and it's non-stop apparently. SCDHL number 4, hello. Well, I don't know why anybody relies on notifications anymore. You can't rely on notifications. Give it up. Give it up. Tanya D, hi. Did I say hello, Anthony? I think so. Well, let's look at radar, shall we? Look at what's happening down here. Texas, Oklahoma. As well, up here, Nebraska, South Dakota. It is extraordinary how these supercells just, they manifest immediately in a line, in a long line. That's what we got. Kentucky, you've got an awful lot of rainfall there. And it looks like high winds, because these storms now move at quite the speed. Tennessee, you have your supercells, and North Carolina, but the real danger spots are right here in Oklahoma and here in Texas. And you've got, again, it looks like pretty much the same area. Not exactly, but what was happening over Texas during the live last night, you've got big hail coming to you right in this portion of Texas, which is, that's like in between, it's north of Houston and south of Dallas, Fort Worth area. But these, look at this. Will you look at these babies? Okie dokie. Not good at all. In fact, I want to show you some captures I took today. Actually, maybe just the last capture I took. Look at this. Look at how all of these are in line. Put out those coordinates and get those nanobot soldiers working. And that's exactly what you're looking at, as far as I'm concerned. Look at what's happening down here in the Gulf. Wow. You've got an awful lot of very fast storms operating in Texas and Oklahoma. Right? Did I capture the satellite? Yes, I did. Look at this. Now, really? Look at what's happening up here in Nebraska and South Dakota. But these couldn't be more obvious that this is not Mother Nature. So if it's not Mother Nature, then what is it? You can go to my Rumble Never Lose Truth channel, and I have a video on there. Well, I have several videos on nanotechnology in use in the weather, but I also have a video on the methods of creating cloud. So we've got the frequencies operating in the Gulf. You've got this nanotechnology, these blips, just blips of cloud, and they are really at it, boy. They don't care. They do not care because they know after decades of this weather used as a weapon, they know the American people will do nothing about it. And that's upsetting. That's upsetting. So what has been happening? Well, we had another tornado in Texas last night. But let me just see. Look at, these are the tornado, the red. All of these tornadoes in Oklahoma, tornado warnings. And 3 in Texas, 1 in Nebraska. Let's see. All right. So I'm looking for, all right, so we still have tornado warnings in Bremen, 10 miles east of Marlin. That's in Texas. You got near Brule in Nebraska. You've got near Lemoyne or 12 miles northwest of Ogallala in Nebraska. Near Gould in Oklahoma. You have near Live Oak or 13 miles southwest of Eden in Texas. Near Anson in Texas. Warning counties, Texas, Falls, Limestone, Robinson, Keith and Perkins in Nebraska, Keith, Nebraska, Harmon and Jackson County in Oklahoma, Concho, Menard in Texas, and Jones in Texas. And you also have in Texas Falls near Lott or 7 miles southwest of Marlin. Are you getting that this is a daily occurrence now? No, I don't think they are power plants. No, I don't think so. I think they're using lasers, they're using nanotechnology, and we're let me just say, we're so screwed, it's unbelievable. I 20 minutes ago, I saw this video, and this is Texas, what is this? Texas Weather Center. Okay, so, and I hit play, and what is he talking about? A tornado hit down in or near Coss, Texas.
So please be in a safe place. We could have baseball-sized hail on Highway 7 between Marlin and Coss right now. This thunderstorm's moving east at 25 to 30 miles an hour. The potential for golf ball to baseball-sized hail, damaging winds. We have a tornado down now. It's confirmed. This tornado's moving east, 30 miles an hour. Could be a strong tornado. By strong, EF2+. That's the kind of tornado that can destroy your home. No trailers, no vehicles, no mobile homes. Get out of the way of this thing. You're better off trying to get out of the way than trying to ride it out in a trailer or mobile home.
All right, so I'm going to, oh no, it's no longer live. Let me see.
Towards Headsville. Here, the Ebenezer Cemetery.
No, it is.
South of Highway 7, east of Highway 14, County Road 702, 459, White Rock.
So if you guys in this area of Texas, here's the link. You might want to check it out every now and then. What's happening? We don't have... Hi, Silent Walk. Has anybody seen Kim Blanchard? No. So, I'll also drop this link. How about the Texas Weather Modification Association? Now, is it only Texas that has a weather modification association? No. But a whole lot of our weather starts in Texas. Weather modification, what is it? Weather modification and control. Oh, and control means changing, controlling, or attempting to change or control the natural development of atmospheric cloud forms or precipitation forms that occur in the troposphere by artificial methods. And they have an awful lot of information on this site. What was interesting, did I get the, okay, Texas, yes I did. So, oh, already it's starting, huh? Already. Okay, this is the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. But one thing they do have, they have a map of rain enhancement projects, the summary of ongoing rain enhancement operations in Texas. You can watch the past meetings and upcoming meetings, weather modification news and updates. It is so surreal that we have we have utility companies, we've got states that have their weather modification associations. We have a national weather modification association. There's just tons and tons and tons of evidence that man is modifying and controlling the weather. And still to this day, we can't seem to get through. What the frig? All right. Significant damage reported in Texas after tornado rips through Temple.
To confirm an actual tornado hit the ground, we'll see about that, but very strong winds accompanied the supercell along with frequent lightning.
Fox weather correspondent Brandy Campbell is in Temple, Texas, looking at some of that damage. Brandy, it's tough every time that we have damage, but you think about how stretched resources are in Texas. I mean, gosh, right down the road in Houston, they're only a week out from their severe weather.
Yeah, that's right. It's been really just a busy month across the U.S. with severe weather. But yes, like you said, here in Texas alone. So we're just now getting into Temple, Texas. This is just one of the locations, businesses, where you'll see some of the damage. This is a red roof, and you can see they do have some damage to the front of this building. Looks like it's where management would be in their front office. And what you might see also in the parking lot, it appears to be their signage as well.
All right, I'm going to... Here, City of Temple under disaster declaration following possible tornado.
On their cell phones. Now, after it passed, the damage it left behind is extensive. This is video of damage from West Adams in Temple. Multiple businesses are no longer there. Cars flipped, signs and buildings torn down. And take a look at these pictures sent to us by Adrian Hodges. The Shipleys on West Adams destroyed, along with multiple other businesses. Wow. Well, 6 News anchor Bailey Bates was out getting a look at the damage across Central Texas and has more on what people in West Temple saw.
6 News anchor Bailey Bates here. I am in a neighborhood in West Temple, just outside of 317, just south of Tarver Elementary School. This area was one of the areas that saw the most extent in this neighborhood are experiencing tonight, and a lot of others across Temple. We talked to one person who lives in an apartment complex between Airport Road and West Adams, and her entire ceiling caved in. There's insulation covering her apartment. She had to pack bags for her and her kids to go somewhere else for the rest of the night.
Like the wind is picking up, then it started sounding like a train, and the wind just got too heavy, and I don't know, I just started hearing heavy. It was just too heavy. Like, I knew it was a tornado outside. I am upset because I have to leave my apartment and it's caved in, you know. But I mean, I guess it's bittersweet because my lease is about to be up. So.
Wow. All right. So here's an aerial shot of Temple. Why isn't this going off? Okay. Look at this. This is Temple.
Continue to survey the damage from the deadly tornado. We are starting.
Yeah, I was just counting the houses. I'm sorry. I forgot to put my mic back on. I was just counting the houses, and I don't think I got all of them, but there were about 30 that, had damage. And then, yeah, as I say, more and more are being pushed over the edge every single day, just with weather alone.
Starting to see truly how large this tornado was. Our Dana Searles was just outside of Greenfield, where a family farm took a direct hit.
This is the corner the Queck family protected themselves in while bricks fell right on top of them as they took a direct hit from Tuesday's tornadoes, completely flattening their near-century-old family farm.
Well, it's been my life.
A 5-generation farm flattened.
You could hear it come, and then it was just like a bunch of crunching, and a brick wall fell on us, and then it was over. And so we lifted up the blanket, we looked up, and it was just like open sky because everything was gone.
A family of 4.
My husband was up against the wall with our 1-year-old, and then I was over our 3-year-old, and it was the cement wall right there, or the brick wall that fell on us.
Piled in the corner.
And it just hit me in the lower back, and my husband had to push it off so that we could get out from underneath of it.
As they faced the direct line of Tuesday's storms.
We got up and we kind of looked at each other, and everything was just gone. And we walked up our stairs and just saw everything was gone. Our house, we have tons of sheds and barns, and there was nothing left.
Bob Queck was born in this house.
That's hard to describe.
Now, 87 years later, is facing the rubble.
There isn't a single building left. There isn't a board on top of another anywhere on this farmstead.
While also seeing the power of community.
We had cars out here on the road for a long ways on each side, people that came. We had 2 school buses come from Earlham.
It's just so nice to have so much help because it is super overwhelming.
And showing his perseverance and positivity through it all.
It's a new chapter. We started a new book, and it'll be interesting to see what that turns out to be.
87 years old, and everything's gone. All right. And I wonder sometimes that positivity that people express on the news. Could it be that they just don't want to share how they're really feeling? It's a new chapter. It's a new day. It's a new chapter. Isn't that a song or something? You know, I mean, with every building flattened, and there was another broadcast with this man, and he also talked about livestock that died, that's gone missing. Not a lot of people are able to recover anymore. Temple, Texas. Look at these homes. This is Live Storms Media, so I can't play it. Temple residents picking up the pieces after storm damage. This tree just walloped him and his house. Look at this tree. It's huge. Storm tracker says he saw a dead man walking tornado in Iowa.
I want to show you this video. This is from storm tracker Parker Hardy. He was watching this as it happened near Greenfield, Iowa. Parker Hardy, he actually joins us now by phone from Osceola, Iowa. And Parker, I mean, we've seen this storm and what it produced when it pushed through Greenfield. Can you talk about what this was like when you were watching this unfold earlier in the afternoon and how intense this tornado was?
I was looking off from the east of it. It was really intensifying. If none of you haven't heard of the dead man walking vortices, those usually mean that it's going to be a strong tornado, and that's what I saw. And after it went past me, I drove through and saw a couple, at least 3 windmills down, one of them being on fire. It was absolutely extraordinary. And you know that those winds had been pushing over 200 miles per hour at that time.
And of course, you're a storm tracker, so you've witnessed some severe storms. I mean, some volatile storms. Have you ever seen or witnessed something like this that could collapse those multi-million-dollar wind turbines and just snap them like toothpicks?
The weather is about to get very ugly. Oh, this is a forecast. It's a forecast for Memorial Day weekend. I will drop the link in because this is not over. It is not over. They've got more ugly, severe weather coming your way for Memorial Day weekend. And as you can see, it's going to be quite bad in Nebraska, North Kansas. You're going to get an awful lot of rain in the Central Plains and onward to the East Coast, and all of these states are going to get a whole lot of nasty weather. What is this? Oh, that's the Baltimore Bay. Yeah, and they claim that this harbor is swimmable. Isn't that interesting? I'd love to just take a dive in there on a hot summer day. Okay, so the new preseason hurricane forecast is highest ever issued. Brace yourself, Florida. They've got 17 of 25 named storms coming at you, Florida. I don't think hurricane season is going to be very pretty. I think it's going to be really hard. Very hard. For an awful lot. Around the Gulf, the Atlantic coast, and Florida. So, what else do we have? We've got, where did it go? Texas power demand to break May record in heat wave. You have a heat wave already. on Friday. Heat wave right after all of those storms. Bring it on, right? So we still have about 100,000 without power from the storms that took place 2 weeks ago in a heat wave. And then if you're around the flooded area, oof, that must smell really nice. Reeling from one heat wave, Mexico awaits highest temperatures ever recorded. They keep putting out these highest temperatures ever recorded, and then the real scientists come out and say, what the hell are they doing? Where are they getting these temperatures? It's all bullshit. That's what life has become. It's just bullshit. All right, I'm going to drop the link to one of my videos on Rumble. Oh, artificial heat waves. Artificial heat waves, meaning man bringing about heat waves. And there's an awful lot of ways to do it. Heat waves artificially created by man, not global warming. Atmospheric temperature modification. All of that black carbon dust that you see, that's one way. You see all of the black crap in the sky? It's one way to create artificial heat, atmospheric heat. Okay.
Hi.
And I will also, I'll just post link to the Rumble because I have a lot of weather modification. Not a lot. I mean, I tried to recoup some that I lost. I actually have more on the Never Lose Truth channel that, for some reason, YouTube gave me back. But here, Harp Ring produces possible tornado real time via pulsation, cloud drops. Wow, rain bomb, yay. Connect the dots, global warming lie, deliberate weather disasters, Agenda 21 2030, HARP patents, radar anomalies, learn the signatures of weather used as a weapon, hurricane and tornado control device. Wow, they have a hurricane and tornado control device? Yeah, they do. Artificial clouds, atmospheric temperature modification. How about our presidents talking about weather modification back in the 60s? Connect dots, weather events, depopulation, employment opportunities, mega regions, wildfires, directed energy weapons. A PDF, military PDF, proves melting, vaporization, damage to scale. You know, those houses that are literally, well, the entire house is vaporized. You don't see anything but dust. But all the trees around them, damage to scale, precise damage. They can do it. And how about the lithium in our atmosphere, how toxic it is to all life, and FEMA buying out flooded homes, no rebuilding, create green space. And the FEMA cat bond, how FEMA scams Americans via the National Flood Insurance Program. Scalar beam weapons in the hands of most evil leave us with the horrifying reality we live. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Sad. Why tornadoes are hitting the U.S. harder and more often. I'll spare you the voices, mainstream media. Well, I'll give you a clue. One reason starts with a C and then a C. Can you guess? But another reason is it's May. Well, we have more tornadoes and stronger tornadoes in May. Got it? Brazil's floods displaced more than 500,000. And I'm showing this again. It's another video. But all right, talk about the World Health Organization having the power to declare a potential pandemic. How about a lockdown because of climate change? That's included. Yes. And the migration, the climate change migration. 500,000 people displaced just with this one flood. Now we have millions displaced all over the country. More and more and more are getting displaced. Migration is going to be even bigger.
Hundreds of thousands of Brazilians still have their homes underwater more than 2 weeks after the rivers began to rise in southern Brazil, causing the region's worst flooding in record story. In areas where the water is receding, mud, trash, and destruction are everywhere. Slowly, the waters are also revealing the grisly reality of what were the last moments for many, and the accounts of what was for others a lucky escape.
As pessoas vão começar a aparecer.
People will start to show up. A lot of people died while sleeping. I took my family in the dead of night. I was checking the water levels all the time. Only at the last moment did we leave. A lot of people died sleeping.
E muita gente morreu dormindo.
Official lists had almost 100 people still missing on Wednesday. Rescue teams have been looking for bodies with the help of dogs. This corpse was found on Monday, trapped inside his house in a city close to Porto Alegre, the capital city of Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil's southernmost state. By Wednesday, more than 160 bodies had been found. Porto Alegre sits on the shore of a large lake that receives water from at least 4 big rivers flowing from mountain areas affected by historic rainfall volumes last week. Upstream, the water swept many towns away quickly and suddenly. Here, at the mouth of the rivers, it happened at a slower pace, but the effects were also larger. Most of the 500,000 displaced people live around the state capital.
We have the basics. People are helping us with food, water, which is the most important, and clothes. We lost everything. We don't have anything in our house anymore. Nothing. The water went over the roof.
Poncio is living with his family in a makeshift hut not far from his damaged home, along with many of his neighbors. He says they feared violence and lack of privacy in a shelter. Now, he fears his son, Mauricio, may have contracted leptospirosis, a deadly infection from bacteria in contaminated waters. More than 50,000 people are in shelters, and the local government has announced it will build at least 4 refugee camps to accommodate them. At the same time, thousands of dogs and cats that were left behind have been rescued. Many of them are living in shelters, waiting to be found by their owners.
Foi momento de desespero.
It was a moment of despair. The water started to rise. My parents are old. We could not bring him. We left as we could. We have been looking for him since the first day.
Zu was found almost 2 weeks later in this shelter. He was scared, but seemed ready to start a new life, like so many people here. Ian Boechat, Rio Grande do Sul, VOA News.
Oh, nearly 300 Boeing 777s used by United and American Airlines at risk for exploding fuel tanks. They don't want you flying. They don't want you flying. So United and American 300 planes at risk of exploding fuel tanks. How many people are going to be calling up an airline, American Airlines, and saying, I want to book the next flight too? I don't know. Who thinks you're fake, Donna? You ain't fake. You're very real. Donna Davidson is very real. Look, this is the cyber world, okay? It is so filled with very effed up people, okay? So, I absolutely appreciate and cherish those who aren't. And as far as I'm concerned, Donna Davidson is not one of those effed up people. I don't know who the guy was, but I don't know what's going on. I ask for money and your chat is telling good people to get lost. I ask for money. I beg everybody. Every video I'm asking for money. That's why I'm here. Sick of it. Walmart, Target unleash price cut tsunami as working poor hit brick wall. And I'll be coming across an article. J.P. Morgan. Oh, they have come out and said that there's a selective recession. Selective. Now we have selective recessions. You see the stock market, the wealthy are doing absolutely fine. Middle class and lower. Not so much. Not so much. Okay. Don't even bother with them, Donna, please. Don't bother with them. Some people just want attention. Long wear, noise canceling, and wireless. How earphones damage our hearing. Don't people know this? They don't know this? If you don't know it, I'll just drop the link in the chat, and if you're one of those, you might want to rethink doing more damage. You know, there's a lot of products out there that people choose to buy and use. We're already living in an incredibly toxic, dangerous environment 24/7. You don't want to overload your system, right? Right. Okay. So, I have now the U.S. Here it is. The U.S. economy is in a selective recession as lower income consumers can't cover the cost of living. Can't cover the cost of living. What does that mean? That a whole lot of people are being pushed closer and closer to the edge. A whole lot have already gone over the edge. And that makes people really, really stressed beyond anything that we have ever seen. So, get ready for an awful lot of people who will just be behaving in ways that it's going to make it very difficult for those who are still comfortable, but try to understand where it's coming from. The comfortable need to try to understand where an awful lot of this crazy, angry behavior is coming from. And especially if it's in your social network of family and friends, you might try to just listen and then help those who are really hurting. And I'll just play a few minutes of this. Gregory Manarino has been posting on the pandemic 2.0, and it's coming. Okay. And the vaccines are coming. Okay. And what will people do? A whole lot of people will still comply, even within the awake crowd, because we don't grow up as adults in this country. A whole lot remain children with a whole lot of wrinkles, flabby skin, getting ready to die. They're still children. And they operate in a very immature, infantile manner, listening to mommy and daddy authority, afraid they're going to get in trouble, so they comply. It's a shame.
Much on the stock market and what's going on over there. Right now, the headlines, this is just a sample of the headlines that are now flooding the mainstream media outlets. Let me cover this real quick. So you got Market Watch, Moderna, other vaccine stocks jump as U.S. and Australia report new bird flu cases. Yahoo Finance, bird flu cases spur retail traders to rush into vaccine stocks. Financial Times, shares of biotech surge as two new human bird flu infections emerge. Barron's, Moderna stock spikes on bird flu worries. Seeking Alpha, Pfizer, Moderna in talks with HHS over avian flu vaccines. People, this is yet another way for them to get whatever's in those things in our bodies. Now, here's another one I want to cover real quick. HHS advances plan to introduce or produce 4.8 million H5N1 vaccine doses. Fed's eye triggers for, wait for it, deploying, like deployment, like war. This new vaccine here. Added that active discussions are underway across federal agencies about what key triggers would be utilized for deploying these vaccine doses. People, do you see what's going on here? And let me say this too. For those of you that do not remember, this guy made a statement during COVID. Everyone was expecting the market to crash during the last scamdemic. Not this guy. I am on public record saying get long COVID. People couldn't believe it. I said that. In other words, they shut down the economy. I said the market's going to go higher, and it did. So I'm telling people right now, if they decide to shut down the system yet again to extort more control over us, have us wear face diapers or whatever else we got, they're going to make us do here, get long this freaking bird flu avian nonsense, because they're going to pump the market. This will give the Fed and every other central bank a green light to inflate on a massive scale. Now let's talk about inflating on a massive scale. This is the Fed money supply just over the last 6 months. You notice anything? We've gone parabolic. Parabolic. Do you realize on top of this, the national debt is inflating at $1 trillion every 3 months? This is exactly what you and I said would happen from I don't know how freaking long ago. They're not going to stop.
They are not going to stop. They're not stopping with anything. They are actually accelerating the agendas. And that means that for those of you who still haven't suffered the consequences, my God, I hope you're prepared. I really do. Donna Davidson is real. And I don't even know. Look, there are so many people that come into the chat. They just want attention. They want, to cause a lot of drama. And so if they're attacking moderators, screw them. That's what I say. Don't attack the blue people. That comes from actually a moderator, my saying blue people. So hello, Mama Rages and T Lamb, and thank you very much. And plus the fact that a whole lot of people weigh in. They weigh in. And very often, they don't know a backstory. They don't know other chats. They don't have enough information to weigh in. So, when you want to weigh in, just think, do I have all of the information? Do I actually know exactly what's going on here? And if you don't, if the answer is no, don't weigh in, because you're going to contribute to the drama. And I hate drama. So, we're going to listen to this woman. A mother went off on school board for pushing LGBTQ, and a father who's talking about his 2 children. But what the hell has gone on? Why is this still continuing? Because we don't have enough adults who care, and they don't support. They don't demand, with the parents. And there's an awful lot of parents that don't have kids in school. You should be going to the school boards because, as far as I'm concerned, every adult, it is our responsibility. It is our responsibility to protect the children, whether you have children or not. We are failing. All of these people need support.
And it's such a blessing to see more parents standing up for the safety and protection of their children. God bless this mother.
I'm going to start, be quiet please. I'm going to start with Ephesians 5:11. I know you guys like to indoctrinate kids, so I'm going to indoctrinate you tonight. There you go. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. That's what I'm doing here today, and that's what I did 2 years ago when all of you tried to indoctrinate the children by sending them to a drag show. Do you remember that, Jody? Yeah. Do you remember when you invited little 5-year-olds to a drag show? Do you know what Encinitas Union School District is known for across the world? Grooming children. Can you believe that? That's what you're famous for. That's what you're known for. Are you proud of that, Andre? And just for the record, just by a raise of hands, because I think this is important. I know you can't speak, but how many of you, by a raise of hands, were okay with the book My Shadow is Pink? Raise your hand on record that you're okay with the book My Shadow is Pink. None of you are okay with it. None of you are okay with it. Why do you think it's okay to indoctrinate and push your sick ideology on 5-year-olds? That's called grooming, Andre. Okay? It's not okay. It's not okay with us parents. And I warned you 2 years ago. I will do everything in my power to expose the evil that you are doing in Encinitas. What you are doing has no place in this city. There's a lot of Christians here tonight. And guess what? We are making our voices loud and clear. Do you hear us? Keep your books. In fact, you know what? You can indoctrinate kids all day long. But see this flag? This stands for freedom. And we, the people, have the freedom to opt out. So guess what? All you teachers, you can keep continuing your grooming. We're going to opt out as Christians. And if you don't accept our opt-out, we'll see you in court.
And apparently these people are now using kids to indoctrinate other kids. Just listen to this.
Hi, my name is Carlos Encinas. My wife Jenny and I, we have 2 boys, ages 11 and 9, and wanted to share an experience we had just last week with our oldest. So we learned that in his 5th grade class, his 5th grade teacher read a book called My Shadow is Pink.
Dad's shadow is blue. It is big. It is strong. But when I stand with it, I just feel so wrong. My heart skips a beat as I put on a dress.
Your shadow is pink. I see now, it's true. It's not just a shadow, it's your innermost you. So stand up with your shadow and yell, "This is me!" And some they will love you, and some they will not. But those that do love you, they'll love you a lot.
He went on to say, yeah, we read this book in class, the 5th grade class, and then we had to go to our buddy class, which is kindergartners, age 5, and we had to sit down with them, and then we watched a video of the same book being narrated in a video format.
His shadow loves dance with its turns and its twirls. Her shadow, she hides it. Her shadow likes girls.
I hoped that my buddy wouldn't understand what any of it meant. We both thought that it's not okay that they're showing this to kindergartners. And after, we had to do an activity where they drew a shadow with their favorite color. I never asked if I could opt out, but I mean, because I didn't want to get in trouble or anything.
And that's really what made him uncomfortable. Was he's got this buddy. They pair the 5th graders, 11-year-olds, with kindergartners, age 5, as part of a mentorship where they can, first time at school. And these older brothers, older sisters are buddies with them throughout the entire school year. They spend between a half hour and an hour each week together. What's most concerning is the school is using our child to disseminate this information to someone that is clearly looking up to them, a 5-year-old. So we wrote the 5th grade teacher. We asked the how and the why, and that response is actually even more concerning. The response was, well, this is just an exercise in colors. The buddies are just playing with, their shadows and asking what color their shadows are. And, it's not gender identification, has nothing to do with that.
It's not just a shadow, it's your innermost you.
We're clearly in disagreement on that, but we want parents to be aware. And the fact that they're using kids to teach other kids. There is a weekly recap that we get from our specific 5th grade class, and for whatever reason, they did not include discussion on this book. Kind of a hidden agenda. I would encourage every family to start asking questions and start sharing the facts that they have, because together we can make a difference.
This is a battle between good and evil. They are coming for the next generation. For the love of God, take care of your kids. God bless you and your family. Catch you on the next one. Can I make this?
And again, I really like Black Conservative 24, and I will, not that he needs any help from me. He's got 1.25 million subscribers. But here, if you don't know, Black Conservative 24 puts out a lot of very good information and very short videos. Everybody likes short videos? Okay. So, thank you, Black Conservative 24. Now, I just want, Kim Blanchard is here. Is that right? Okay, good. All right, Kim. You're here. I hope that means that you're okay, your house is okay from all of this wonderful weather that they are manufacturing in Texas. It's not good. So, you are in Texas, right? Anyway, I very often recommend channels, even if people are still caught in the matrix, which I believe Black Conservative 24 is. Even if they're Christian, I don't care. As long as they're putting out information that everybody needs. You would do things to hurt me, Donna? You wrote, Carol, I would ever do anything to hurt you. I know, you left out the end. But, It's about what people do as opposed to what they believe. You know, maybe still stuck in the matrix. Hopefully they'll come around. It's about how you operate in the world. That gets me. I don't care what the religion is, what the race is, what the sex is. I don't care. It's what you do. Right? Right. So, German parliament votes to decriminalize the possession of child pornography. Well, do you think that maybe Western nations they're all going in the same direction, which should beg questions in every adult's mind, but they seem to be going in a very evil direction, allowing crime to flourish, allowing corruption to flourish, and destroying a whole lot of all of us in our Western nations, and that's flourishing. And the sick, evil indoctrination of children and allowing these pedophiles to do whatever the hell they want to do. Since we're all kind of going in that direction, that really should beg questions, at the very least. And here, this I believe is in Ohio, and yeah, they came across these internal documents that show that there are forces operating today that are literally evil forces. They're all at work controlling a narrative that is not a good narrative. Certainly not a narrative that helps parents, helps people. Donna, I don't know what you're referring to. You always do whatever you can to help me. Why me? I don't know what you're referring to. I don't know. So, and if you're referring to me, then you've misinterpreted something I've said. So let's listen to this.
Thing is just like it's cartoonish.
It's a tale of two tales about this leaked document titled Taking Control of the Task Force Narrative. Columbus City Schools Board President Christina Vera's side.
A member of the Board of Education, Board Member Brandon Simmons, expressed personal opinions about how they thought the Community Facilities Task Force work should be communicated.
And Board Member Brandon Simmons' take.
It was a collaboration. There are input from many, many different people and ideas from many, many different folks.
The first sentences of the document read, quote, Columbus City Schools is under attack by our labor partner, the Columbus Education Association. We have lost control of the narrative about the task force. It then goes on to detail a multi-page plan to weaken critics of school buildings closing and merging.
I was shocked, disappointed to read a strategy memo written by a Board of Education member spelling out divide and conquer tactics to be used to silence parents, educators, community members. It's really disgusting.
Now, parents, teachers, and community members are calling on Board Member Simmons to resign.
It's like the curtain has been pulled back and we can see what Board Member Simmons really thinks of the community. And that he's afraid of us, and he's afraid of our voices. He's afraid of our participation in the process.
Simmons says he's keeping his seat at the board table. He spoke with us minutes before the meeting started. Then, as President Vera began to address the leaked document,
I did want to make a statement.
Simmons told the media he had more to say and walked out of the active meeting. You can see our camera following him.
And so the reality is that there are multiple versions of that document, and the one that people are seeing today, it wasn't the final version, and it's really, we're very sorry, and it's very regrettable that that's the version people are looking at.
This board member's recommendations are solely their own and do not represent the perspectives of Columbus City Schools or the entire Board of Education.
There's always somebody behind the curtain pulling the strings. We know that, don't we? AI relies on mass surveillance, warns Signal boss. Signal. Messaging app Signal. Huh. Okay. This is what she said, Meredith Whitaker, who worked for a long time with Google and I guess is now the boss of the encrypted messaging app Signal. The AI technologies we're talking about today are reliant on mass surveillance. They require huge amounts of data that are the derivatives of the mass surveillance business model that grew out of the 90s in the US and has become the economic engine of the tech industry. So she spent years working for Google before helping to organize a staff walkout in 2018 over working conditions, established the AI Now Institute at New York University in 2017. She now campaigns for privacy and rails against the business models built on the extraction of personal data, and she is clear that she has no confidence that the AI industry is developing in the right direction. Nothing is going in the right direction, and we know it. But Meredith, too little, too late, honey. Sorry. Too little, too late. And yeah, I have to wonder if these people come out and say these things at a time when they know that it's too late. Signal, not noise. Yeah, we know the mass surveillance. You do know that we're going to have drones circling, certainly in cities, but they're going to be just circling above us, watching everything that we do. We know all of this is coming, right? We didn't do a thing to stop any of it. I mean, some people did, but it wasn't enough people. We really do need to care about our future, or about the future of the younger generation. 30 arrested after vandalizing a strip mall in East downtown Houston. I have to say, man, I am seeing so much crime in Houston that I think everybody in Houston is probably concerned about what's going on in Houston.
Yeah, good evening, Anthony. We even caught an arrest being made while we were there, the 30th arrest earlier today. The owners are stuck on what to do, especially since the city is threatening to put a lien on the property for the cost of the cleanup if the vandalism continues. Talk about what it's been like at this property.
It's been a zoo.
Jim Carroll is the property manager of this strip mall on the 6200 block of Harrisburg, listed for sale at $3 million. It's been broken into dozens of times in the last year, mainly by repeat offenders. They bust up glass and fixtures. Thieves even stole the AC units from the roof.
We found heroin needles, syringes, clothing, defecation on the floor. You see where they caught campfires.
Our cameras were rolling when Houston police arrived. The officer arrested one man who was sleeping on the property. Carroll's personal records show he's been caught here before. This time they say he tore the plexiglass down. Other officers show up to check for more trespassers.
Makes it more difficult to sell the property because they look at the damage that's done and they're like, why would somebody want to buy property, with all the damage it's done?
The owners of the Las Palmas Plaza have been trying to sell this 25,000 square foot lot since 2017. That's about the same amount of time that this overpass has been installed and operated in the Edo area. They say many businesses have moved away since then. On May 8th, the city's inspection office sent in a notice pointing out the graffiti that's since been painted over. The letter states if it happens again, the city will file a lien for all cost to clean it up.
They pay $30,000 a year in taxes on this property even though there's nobody in there. And yet the city wants to punish us.
Well, yeah. Because you're doing things right. So the city has to punish you. All right, I did see Donna saying that they were attacking her. I didn't even see any of the comments, but I did see she saying that she wasn't fake. So somebody said that she was a fake channel, I guess, or a fake person. You can't take things personally. You can't. You cannot take things personally here. You know you're real. I know you're real. That's got to be good enough. Don't worry about what people say. Because, man, people say a lot. And, it's if there were any other attacks, I didn't see them. So let me know. But people are stupid, they're very immature. And they just like to, get things going. As if we don't have enough going. And here, yeah, if you can't even elect a candidate who will end a genocide, well, then you're going to be voting for the lesser of two evils. Doing the same thing over and over and over again. You know what that makes you? You expect a different result. Insane. But she's right.
If you can't even elect a candidate who will end a genocide, how real is your democracy? The Biden administration has openly approved of an Israeli assault on Rafah, the last slightly safe city in the Gaza Strip, and is openly preparing to work with Congress to punish the International Criminal Court for seeking arrest warrants of Israeli officials for war crimes. Biden is a monster who belongs in a cell in The Hague. I talk about Biden's criminality a lot, but I should probably clarify that I don't do so because I believe Trump or even Kennedy would be acting any kinder toward the people of Gaza if they were president. All three of the arguably viable U.S. presidential candidates are virulent Zionists who have all made it clear that they will back Israel's genocidal atrocities with adamant fervor. A lot of fuss gets made over the West's brand of democracy. Wars of aggression have been waged under the banner of spreading it throughout the world and allowing the people to control what their government will do. But what you very seldom see discussed in mainstream discourse is the many issues that this form of so-called democracy never allows the people to vote on. The genocide in Gaza is arguably the single most urgent matter in the world right now, partly for how horrific it is in and of itself, and partly for its potential to explode into wars which would bring far greater devastation to the region. But nobody's allowed a vote on whether this will continue or not, even in the heart of the U.S. empire, which is making it all possible. The only candidates who stand any chance of getting elected are all committed to making sure this mass atrocity continues. Because if you ever want to get anywhere near the presidency, you have to make a whole lot of deals with powerful forces who were never elected by anybody. And this just says so much about the nature of this democracy, a word which literally means rule by the people. If the people were actually in charge, there would be some option available to them to end the worst thing happening in the world right now. But the people are not in charge. When it comes to matters of the most importance, they never get a vote. Americans don't get a vote on whether or not vast fortunes should be poured into funding a war machine which stretches around the globe. The option is never on the ballot. They don't get to vote on whether or not the drastic action needed to prevent environmental collapse should be taken. They don't get to vote on whether or not the U.S. empire should be escalating against nuclear-armed nations like Russia and China with ever-increasing aggression. They don't get to vote on whether the wealthy should be getting richer and richer while the poor have to struggle harder and harder to survive. They don't get to vote on whether the wealthy should be allowed to use their wealth to influence political affairs in a way that gives them more and more wealth and power. They don't get to vote on whether they should have their minds pummeled with empire propaganda 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year by rich and powerful people who are invested in manipulating the way they think, act, vote, shop, and work. They don't get to vote on whether their police force should be getting more and more militarized, or whether the surveillance practices of the U.S. intelligence cartels should be getting more and more intrusive. They don't get to vote on whether the U.S. should have the highest incarceration rate in the world and the profoundly unjust legal system which gives rise to it. They don't get to vote on whether the internet should be getting more and more consolidated and censorship-heavy as Silicon Valley megacorporations move into more and more collaborative relationships with the U.S. government. They don't get to vote on whether there should be billionaires when there are people living on the streets. They don't get to vote on whether their government should be encircling the planet with hundreds of military bases and working to destroy any nation which disobeys it while their own people struggle and suffer at home. If you want to vote on something the powerful don't care about, there's a possibility that your vote might have some sway. You might have some tiny degree of influence over women's reproductive rights, for example, or whether or not gay people can get married. But when it comes to the mechanisms of the imperial machine like war, militarism, propaganda, oligarchy, capitalism, or authoritarianism, your hand will get smacked away the instant you move to touch them. So it's not really democracy then, is it? It's not really rule by the people if all the most important and consequential decisions are made by forces with no accountability to the electorate, while the people are confined to a toddler's playpen in the corner arguing about pronouns and fat phobia. And what really sucks is that so many people believe this is freedom and democracy. The people will never know freedom until they first understand how profoundly unfree they really are.
Bada bing. Absolutely true. And I would love to see a comment from Donna Davidson because, and I don't want people saying, that it's stupid or, people who get affected by things and take things personally and get hurt by them. When we see people then judging them, they don't want to come back and express themselves. That's not good. Okay? Now, there's an awful lot going on that people are very, very upset about. So when somebody writes, considering everything that's going on in the country and getting, upset about the little things or stupid things or whatever, the two can happen at the same time. Okay? There's an awful lot that I can't say that I take personally anymore, but I feel it. I feel it. An awful lot. Every single day I get it from comments. So, I feel it. I do concentrate on what's happening to us collectively far more. But I just wish that we could clean up our own act so that we didn't have to have people who strike out and do the very immature crap in chats, the comments. And Donna Davidson has been a very good support, very strong support for me. So I don't want to see Donna Davidson feeling like she can't comment. Donna, it's my channel, and I'm saying to you that you are very important to me. So please don't go away, because I do need you. There are certain people that I actually need to see. So, because my life is gone, I have virtually no real life anymore. And those who have shown to be a strong support of mine, I don't want to see you gone. I need you. And I don't say things like this, just I say things like this when I mean it. So, all right, I'm going to switch gears and go to this, man. These people, I'm sorry, Tulsi Gabbard is mentally not right.
We loved Tulsi, supported her during her presidential campaign. She's supposed to be anti-war, but here she is saying she's anti-war except when it comes to Israel. They could apparently, it's fine.
You mentioned American taxpayer dollars. Is there a difference between funding Israel and funding Ukraine?
Oh, by the way, let me back this up a bit. She's sitting down, this was last week, so this wasn't a long time ago. This was last week. She's sitting down with CBN News to promote her book, For Love of Country, Leave the Democratic Party Behind. So here's what she says.
You mentioned American taxpayer dollars. Is there a difference between funding Israel and funding Ukraine? Like, how do you see that exactly? I'm just curious about that.
Yes, there is a very
Because
clear
radical
difference.
Islamic extremism is what Israel is on the front lines of every day.
There is a very real difference, and using and
Oh, just so disappointing right there. Yes, big difference. I'm anti-war, except
always be with every unique challenge that we face and that unique decision that must be made. Using those two examples, are we better off increasing and escalating tensions and waging this proxy war against Russia, of which Ukraine has never had any shot at winning, increasing the likelihood of nuclear war? That is counter to and undermining our own national security. What to speak of the fact that we've spent hundreds of billions of taxpayer dollars now for what purpose? For what purpose? Putin was wrong to invade Ukraine. There's no question about it. There's a lot of historical context that went into that, but the bottom line is we should have had a president who would have gone in very early and negotiated a peaceful end to that war as quickly as possible. Save lives, save American taxpayer dollars.
Okay, so we all agree with her on this. I think at least those of you watching this show probably agree with her that or maybe you're coming to that point if you're somebody who supported the Ukraine war, you might be realizing, well, okay, maybe it's just better to negotiate this one out. They're not going to win, right? Okay. So she's saying all the right things when it comes to Ukraine and Russia.
When you look at what's happening in the war between Israel and Hamas, and it is a war between Israel and Hamas.
No, it isn't. There's actually no war. A war is between equal sides. A war was Germany, Russia, the United States, UK, France in World War II. That's a war, okay? This is an onslaught of a group of people who happen to have risen up a militia. So they've got their own militia because they're this oppressed. They're not allowed a military. So to call it a war is a joke. They're not allowed a military. They're not allowed to manufacture weapons. They do. They make their own little homemade weapons. They might smuggle some weapons in, but they're not allowed a real genuine military to defend their own sovereignty and their own border. They're not allowed that. So you can't really call it a war. It's a group of people who have been subjugated by Israel, Israel not allowing them to rise up and have any military at all. They're not allowed to defend. Think about that. They cannot defend themselves. They don't have any, that's not sovereignty. They're not a nation. A war is between nations, or a civil war between those in your own nation, right? But so this is, if anything, it would be closer to a civil war if you're going to make it a war. It's not between nations. Palestine, so many are quick to point out, especially on the pro-Israel side, they're not a nation. They never have been. They're not actually recognized as a nation. They're not allowed what nations are allowed, sovereignty and the ability to defend themselves. They're not allowed that. This is a military, a mighty military, going up against a civilian population. And in that civilian population, they have formed their own militia to defend themselves against a tyrannical government. Something that very many Americans advocate for here in the United States, especially conservative ones. The very voters she's trying to appeal to.
I like Kim Iverson. I will post the link to this video. It's another 8 minutes, and how anybody could support what's going on with the killing, with the actual killing of children, women, civilians. How could anybody support it? You've got to be sick in the head to support that. Hi, sweetheart. And here, activists confronted a U.S. senator. This is it's so embarrassing. I mean, I just don't get it. You guys in Pennsylvania, this is your senator? It's frightening.
I thought you were an anti-racist, but it seems like you value Israeli lives more than you value Palestinian lives. Is that true?
Still with Israel.
So you think an Israeli life is more valuable than a Palestinian life?
Okay.
Senator, I always thought you were an anti-racist.
That's a senator. This goof is a senator.
But it seems like you value Israeli lives more than you value
whenever I look
Palestinian
at him,
lives.
I always think of idiocracy. Right here. You got the idiocracy. He doesn't even know how to converse. He does not know. He's so a puppet that he's just doing whatever they tell him to do, and he looks like a schlub. That's a United States senator. This is how low we have gotten. Netanyahu really said this. Yes, he did.
What? You haven't seen that, Kurt? You didn't know that?
No, why do that website?
You act like that's crazy? Kurt's like, that's crazy. I can't believe it.
No, I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, it's
sounds hot.
What's happening. Come for a link for tickets. If you were on the fence about what's happening in Gaza, here's Bibi Netanyahu before his latest assault in Gaza, describing exactly what he's doing and the Israeli army is doing and calling it terrorism. Do you want to see it? Here it is. Listen, this is kind of amazing.
What terrorists do is target the innocent deliberately. And therefore, my definition of terrorism is the systematic and deliberate attack, the murder, maiming, and menacing of innocents, civilians, for political goals. You can tell a lot about terrorists, but what happens when they come to power? Those who fight for freedom and come to power do not impose terrorism. Those who do, who fight in terroristic means, end up as being masters of terrorist states.
Philly zone.
So civilians can't be innocent because Palestinian children, they're not.
I thought he was talking about himself.
Oh, okay. No, he's talking about what he's doing. Behind every killer is a core wound. And of course, Bibi's bitter, right?
You gotta love, well, I say that sarcastically, how these people come out talking about other people when they're really talking about themselves. Bibi Netanyahu is a terrorist. Biden is a terrorist. The US government is a terrorist organization. The Israeli government, the Zionist government, is a terrorist organization. And we have an awful lot of people who they're gung-ho with their support. UN passed an immediate ceasefire resolution and Israel disobeyed it.
The UN Charter stipulates that all Security Council resolutions are legally binding under international law. And one of the conditions of being accepted into the UN is that member states should adhere to UN resolutions. The Security Council passed an immediate ceasefire resolution 2728 and Israel disobeyed it. The International Criminal Court of Justice ordered Israel to stop preventing delivery of needed aid, and Israel disobeyed it. Any country that is non-constant and regular, is not abiding by international law and UN resolution, should indeed be expelled from the UN. Israel is the most flagrant abuser of UN resolution. By far, since 1948, 284 United Nations General Assembly resolution, 228 United Nations Security Council resolution, and as of 2013, Israel had been condemned in 45 resolutions by the United Nations Humanitarian Council, United Nations Human Rights Council, this council. Israel behaves like a rogue state within the UN. Shouldn't Israel now be expelled from the UN under international law? Thank you.
Yes, they should be. Jewish left-winger slams Michael Gove's anti-Semitism speech. Yeah, there are certain things that you just you have to. I mean, how do people? I don't understand how people think, and how they get away with some of the stuff that they say, because it's an obvious lie, but they carry on.
A speech claiming that Jews are increasingly under threat in Britain, and he's blamed pro-Palestine marchers for this state of affairs.
We know now that it is genuinely dangerous for people to be openly, clearly, proudly Jewish near these marches. At a time when we're all encouraged to be our whole authentic selves, to celebrate our identity, to be out and proud. There is only one group told that they, and they alone, can only be tolerated on terms set by others, Jews. The organizers of the marches say that there are Jewish people on their demonstrations, but they are only safe if they deny what is dear to so many Jewish people, the safety of people in Israel. If they are to be accepted on these marches, then they must knuckle under, accept the calls to globalize the Intifada or to end the Zionist entity. They have to obey the rules laid down by others, those march organizers, who reserve.
That's right. All of the non-Jews in these protests are controlling the Jews who want to attend, but I guess they have to take an oath that, you know, they're either with the Intifada or against the Zionist government. What the hell is he saying? And the only way for those Jews to be safe in the protest is essentially what he's saying is to deny their own Jewishness.
Reserve the right to tell Jews both where they should live in the world and how they should live on our streets.
Andrew Feinstein, I want to get your comment on this. You're, of course, a Jewish man and a supporter of Palestinian rights. What did you make of that claim? You know, Jews are only welcome on these marches if they commit to everything that all of the organizers want, and so therefore they're essentially anti-Semitic, is what he's saying.
I mean, thank goodness I don't live in this make-believe world that Michael Gove does. You know, I'm very seldom rendered speechless, but I feel almost that at this point. I mean, I've never heard such nonsense in my life. If one looks at the speakers at any of these rallies, it is extraordinary, the diversity of opinion, of political opinion. And, you know, if one looks at the Jewish bloc on these marches, and specifically at the Jewish speakers, I mean, just this last one, we're of such a diversity. We come, you know, this notion that Michael Gove and others try to impose on us, that there is sort of this Jewish community that is largely of one view. And then there are a few little outriders who conform to some sort of strange figment of his imagination and a few others' imagination of these sort of Jews who renounce their Judaism. I mean, it's actually deeply offensive. And the reality is that there are hundreds of thousands of Jews around the world in Israel who are unbelievably critical of the Israeli state. And that doesn't necessarily imply that they accept everything that the organizers of our march, I mean, if you look at the organizers, if you look at the PSC and Stop the War, if you look at the individuals concerned, amongst them, there are deeply nuanced political differences. And I think what we are seeing in reaction to what I believe as someone who's lectured at Auschwitz on genocide, what we are seeing as a consequence of what I believe is a genocide being committed in Gaza is that people from a very wide array of political opinion are uniting and mobilizing in their opposition to what Israel, with British, American, and Western European support and weapons, is doing to the Palestinian people. And to try and turn this into something akin to a comic book that Michael Gove seems to be doing is actually deeply offensive, not just to our intellects, but I think to people's political sensibilities. You know, to think that all Jews who go on these marches are like-minded thinkers, to think of the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Jews around the world and in Israel itself, all think the same on all political issues around this. And this is the only way that we as Jews are given the space to express our politics is actually deeply reductionist and deeply offensive, and is more than anything else a reflection of our sclerotic politics that are both corrupt morally and materially. And I think this quote from Michael Gove is a wonderful representation of that and actually reflects quite a lot of the reasons why I've decided to stand. Because hopefully, through a lot of independent candidates in the next election, we'll be able to have a slightly more adult, more nuanced political discourse than we've had for the last few years from both the Tories and Labour in this country. Because really, you know, this is almost as infantile, as disingenuous as David Lammy's comments, because I heard your earlier discussion about Lammy seeming to slightly alter his position. Whether that's an altering of Labour's position, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what the leader of the Labour Party has to say about it. But, you know, he can say something like this now, but a few days ago, he was talking at a Republican Party event in the United States of America, where he completely misrepresented and, according to Mandela's grandson, abused the words and legacy of Nelson Mandela, who I worked for, to try and defend his appalling position on the genocide that is being committed. And then you see this from Michael Gove and you think to yourself, how did our politics get to this remarkably mediocre, mendacious level? And my goodness, from here on in, it can only be up.
infantile, mendacious, low. We've got these politicians who just lie to us all of the time. The people are in a dance with all of their evil representatives and leaders and here another right-wing pundit, crazy person. It's amazing how many people there are.
After thousands of children have died in Gaza, the question of whether or not Britain should welcome refugees, including children, from the region seems a clear one. But somehow, not everyone agrees. Here's right-wing political commentator Matthew Goodwin debating the issue with Tribune co-editor Taj Ali.
We are talking about millions of Palestinians. We never make generalizations. And if we're talking about a population where half of whom are children, are you really saying to me a 10-year-old Palestinian who might be severely injured, who might need urgent medical treatment, is a threat to this country? I think we have counter-terrorism laws in this country to make sure that
why is a 10-year-old Palestinian going to be a threat?
I think, as I say, I think the underlying principle of taking more people into Britain from Palestine, from Gaza,
Palestinian child, not a single Palestinian child where you could save a life. What crime has a Palestinian child committed?
We can get very abstract about it.
It's not abstract.
This is central to the issue because we're talking about children. We're talking about bringing children to reunite them with their families.
I'm not going to be bullied by liberal tears on this one, okay?
I won't be bullied by liberal tears. Wow.
Wow is right. We're talking about children. You know, and I listen to people and I think, who are these people? Are they actually human? I don't know. Or do we have so many psychopaths out there that do not care about, you know, the killing of innocent lives? They've been so desensitized, don't value life at all, and they're truly just psychopathic. I'm truly amazed that we got this low. You would think that we'd be getting better and better, but no. Worse and worse and worse and worse. It's hard to see, but they are starving people. They are starving people. Starving Palestinians.
بديش أموت عشان حرب هادي حرب هادي حرب هادي خايف أموت افهموا يا عالم افهموا يا عالم بديش أموت.
So you do know that the Iranian president died in the helicopter crash. He was 63 years old. Do you think that that was just an accident? Or do you think that that Iranian president was taken out? If you're thinking, oh, it was absolutely an accident and you're a conspiracy theorist, to think that it could be anything else, you're a crazy person. ICC prosecutor seeks arrest warrants against Sinwar and Netanyahu for war crimes over October 7 attack in Gaza. And it's not just Netanyahu, but a number of high up seeking warrants against the Israel's defense minister, Yoav Gallant, and Israel's hawkish Netanyahu faces global isolation. At this point, with everything that the Zionist government is doing and the IDF is doing, every Jew around the world should be screaming to get rid of that Zionist government and to demand a ceasefire, because the backlash on all Jews, unfortunately, because not a lot of people have the ability to not group everyone into one category and make all of them, like they all think the same, they all do the same, they're all bad. No, not at all. Not at all. And this is so not, it's already, you have a lot of Western nations who have come out and said, no more. But I don't see how anybody could think that this is good. What's happening in Israel, Israelis find it very difficult to express how they feel if they go against the government. Already, they're jailing people in Israel for doing that. This guy is a sick, evil bastard. U.S. blasts outrageous ICC pending arrest warrants. Of course we blast, because we're right in bed with everything that's going on. That's what we do. Netanyahu issues warning to U.S. leaders over ICC arrest warrants. You're next. Good. Good. I'd like to see it. Bring it on, please. Get rid of these war-mongering, evil, psychopaths that we have in Congress, in the White House. Get rid of them. Lock them up. Jail them. Blood on their hands? Oh, you betcha. And Israel fuming at United Nations moment of silence for Iran leader. What's next? A moment of silence for Hitler? Aren't you really getting so flippin' tired? I am so tired of it all. I'm just so, you can't express any kind of condolences or sympathy. Rest in peace for a person who died, who was the Iranian president, and because that hurts Netanyahu. So apparently, well, Clooney, his wife, is on the criminal court. But the court, there was unanimous approval to the prosecutor's arrest warrants for Netanyahu, the defense minister Gallant, 3 Hamas leaders. Why not Biden? Why not Americans? It's our weapons that are doing all the killing. Can't even go there. So, Lily Greenberg, the first Jewish Biden appointee to publicly resign over Gaza.
This is funded by viewers like you.
Also funded by viewers like George Soros.
This news is funded by Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
On May 15th, Lily Greenberg Call, a special assistant to the chief of staff at the Department of the Interior and a political appointee of President Biden, resigned from her position in protest of the administration's policies in Gaza. In doing so, she became the first known Jewish appointee to resign from the Biden administration over Gaza. In a 4-page letter of resignation she released publicly, Greenberg Call wrote, quote, "I can no longer in good conscience continue to represent this administration amidst President Biden's disastrous continued support for Israel's genocide in Gaza," unquote. Lily Greenberg Call chose May 15th as the date of her resignation because it marked the anniversary of the Nakba, Arabic for catastrophe, when up to 900,000 Palestinians were driven from their homes and displaced in 1948 during the founding of Israel. In her resignation letter, she wrote, quote, "Nakba and Shoah, the Hebrew word for Holocaust, mean the same thing, catastrophe. I reject the premise that one people's salvation must come at another's destruction. I am committed to creating a world where this does not happen, and this cannot be done from within the Biden administration," she wrote. Lily Greenberg Call joins us today in our New York studio. Lily, welcome to Democracy Now! Thanks so much for joining us. If you can talk about the significance of the date you chose and why you have decided to resign.
Thanks for having me, Amy. So as I said in my resignation letter, Nakba and Shoah mean the same thing. I was raised with a fairy tale about the Nakba. The Nakba was something that I was not really told about, and if anything, it was minimized and trivialized. Was raised with this idea that Israel was a land without a people for a people without a land. And so if there's no Palestinian society, if there's nothing to be destroyed, then there's nothing to mourn. So I felt as a Jewish person that it was particularly important for me to acknowledge the significance of the Nakba, and the Nakba that has never really ended, that continues to this day. And as I mentioned, there's something devastating about the parallels between the same word, Nakba and Shoah, and the idea that what many Jews see as our salvation in the formation of the State of Israel came at the expense of Palestinian freedom. And so I want us to reject that premise, the idea that Jewish safety and Palestinian freedom are at odds with each other, and understand that any system that requires that, requires the oppression of one people for another, is inherently unsafe.
And could you tell us, how did your Jewish faith lead you to make this decision?
Yeah, so I was raised very much steeped in Jewish community. I went to Jewish day school. I have 20 years of Jewish education. I did traditional Jewish tech study in high school. And a lot of the values that I learned in that, I internalized some really beautiful values, right? There's this idea of pikuach nefesh in Judaism, which means saving a life, and it supersedes any other commandment. You are allowed to break any commandment if it means saving a life. We also say to save a life is to save the whole world. There's this idea of B'Tselem Elohim, that every person is made in the image of God. And so those values, in addition to the fact that Judaism is really steeped in a justice-oriented ethos, that we fight against authority. Jews have been the victims of injustice, of legal injustice, of violence, of persecution, of displacement throughout our history, right? So I feel that I am really living in my Jewishness, in the essence of what I was raised with, by standing up for Palestinians and by demanding their freedom.
And your views on the Israeli state have evolved over the years. In 2019, as a college student at UC Berkeley, you served as president of Bears for Israel, which is affiliated with AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Can you talk about the evolution of your views?
Yeah, of course. So, as I mentioned, I was raised deeply involved in Jewish community, and within that community, it was very pro-Israel. There was no daylight between being Jewish and support for the state of Israel in the community I was raised in. And I also, I believed in Israel as, like I said, the sort of salvation of the Jewish people, the way to protect Jews from anti-Semitism. And I grew up experiencing anti-Semitism from non-Jewish people in my life and in communities. And so it was really powerful for me to advocate for Israel.
Blues de jour, my Jewishness laughing out loud. How? Wow. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's a mentality that I will never understand.
But I would say, as I got a little older, over the past 8 years or so, two things started to happen at once, or at the same time. So the first was
She has so many important things to say. You don't like it much. Okay. This is why I don't like approaching this, because I get really upset. You can't listen to people who aren't just like you. You think it's funny. She's talking about, she resigned. She's talking about how she was indoctrinated growing up. She's gotten out of the indoctrination. She has a moral core, and she's actually acting upon that moral core, and you think it's funny. It's funny, and you don't like it much. And that's why we're not going to get anywhere. Because the mentality of most Americans, high school, junior high, my God. On that note, do your best. Hey, live honestly, speak honestly, grow up, and be safe. Let's look at radar just one last time. Okay, they have taken away the supercells. Good. Good. Hope there wasn't too much damage from them. Nebraska seems to be still getting hit, and so is Oklahoma, because this supercell has not moved. So, yeah, stay safe, especially if you're in these areas. And on that note, thank you for showing up, and I hope to see you tomorrow night, and I hope to see Donna Davidson again. I really do. I really do. I don't think it was taken out of context, Kim. What was said? My Jewishness. LOL. Come on. Be safe, everybody. Good night, good luck. Ciao.